Could you tell me, when you moved to Birkenhead, did you actually know anyone? Did you have any friends over there? Any acquaintances?
Yeah. I was working in TCC, and I was still living in Liverpool with the whole Granby Street stuff. I did have a friend. I thought it was my friend. Oh boy, I've totally forgotten about this. So, there was a gentleman I knew in TCC, and I was telling people about my experiences that I was having in the place that I was living. So, this dude had like a 2-bedroom flat. So he was like, "Oh, I'm doing like a share. So if you want to come stay with me, you can come stay with me." Now, I should have realized that he basically asked me this like during like a 6-month duration. Like he asked me, and then when I turned around and I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll take it," he went, "No, actually, I've got a girl staying there now, so it's already taken." I was like, "Okay, fine." He came back to me literally like a month later, and he was like, "The girl's moved out now." I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Yeah, so if you want the place," I was like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." I should have realized there was a reason that she moved out so quickly, right? So I was literally there for 3 days. 3 days before I started realizing that I shouldn't be living with this dude. So I had a couple of mates come around to see where I was living. He knew one of them because he also worked in TCC. The other guy was a friend of ours. Anyway, they came, I showed them the place, they left, and he started giving me grief. Like, he's like, "Why are you bringing people around?" I was like, "What you mean, they're my friends?" He's like, "Oh, I don't appreciate you bringing people around I don't know." And I was like, "But you know Andy, you know him, we work together in the same department, and the other dude used to work there, and that's why we know him as well." She's like, "Oh yeah, but next time you let me know if you're gonna bring anyone around." I went, "Mate, am I not paying you to live here? Am I paying you rent?" He's like, "Yeah." So I was like, does that not mean that I'm entitled to have people around? All right. And so he just went off in a huff, and I just let it go. The week after that, he came to me, asked me to pay for the Wi-Fi, and I was like, "Mate, I've only been here for like a week. I'm not paying you for the Wi-Fi bill for last month." So he turned around and turned off the Wi-Fi, and literally hit the box. I was like, I'm not putting the box back out until you pay me for the Wi-Fi." So I reluctantly paid him for the Wi-Fi that I hadn't used because it was for the previous month, right? So by that point, I started going, right, I shouldn't be staying with this guy because he's just a prick. It was the argument that we had about the rent. So the next month came, and I was going to give him the rent money, and I was going out for drinks with my mate. Naturally, it was the end of the month. So I said to him, "I'll bring the money when I come home from having the drinks." He calls me about 12 o'clock in like 12 o'clock, I'm in the pub, and he's like, "I thought you were coming to pay me the rent money." I was like, "Yeah, when I get home, like I've got the money, but you have to wait until I get home, And then he was giving me grief over that. So when I got home, I'm on the phone to my mom. I get home, and he's screaming at me, and my mom's like, "Is that the dude you're living with? Is he that horrible?" I was just like, "Yeah, Mom, do you hear him?" And I just put the phone, I said, "I'm on the phone with my mom, she can hear how nasty you are," right? So I walked off, and he went, "You and me are going to need to have words later on, boy." And he emphasized the word boy, and that got to me. And I turned around and went, "Old man, if you ever call me boy again, I'm going to smash your face in." And that's the end of that. And I walked off, and I went, "I'm not living with this dude anymore." So I had a friend that at TCC as well, Chloe, one of my closest friends here, and I was telling her about the experience, and when I told her about that incident, she immediately knew what that meant. She was like, "Yeah, you need to move up with that guy." So she said, "Come stay with me." So I literally that day I packed all my stuff, right? Took a video of me putting the keys through the letterbox and went, "Right, that's it. I'm done. I'm over. It's over. I'm going." So I left him, and I went to live with her, and I lived with her for a couple of months. And I found a flat like right around the corner from her, and that's how I ended up living here.
In Princeton?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's how I ended up living here. Yeah.
And like, even during this time, like with the community that you've got, is there a BAME community you're connected to within the Wirral? And do you feel like is there a BAME community that you could be connected to here?
Probably not, no. I know a couple of black people here. One of the dudes, I need someone to throw this.
Put this here, then we can get it.
I know a couple of black people over here. One of them was from the States, funnily enough, and he's of course moved back over there because of the same situation. And the other dude is African. He's a real nice dude, but last I know, I ran into him in the pub like right before the pandemic kicked off, and he was going to move back over to Liverpool. But to be honest, I haven't talked to him since. And those are the only other minorities that I've known over here.
Since being here in 2016? So is there, because I know before you were telling me that you were a writer as well, do you feel like there's outlets where you can express your creativity and you can be around people that are like you, that are like-minded in terms of your hobbies?
Well, if there are, I haven't found them. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I have looked, because it does get pretty lonely being over here on my own. Like there's a website, like a get-together website. I can't even remember what it's called now, because they stopped doing it during the pandemic, obviously. But it was like for various different peoples, like international people, or people in specific types of groups, like people wanting to learn English, or writers and stuff like that. But they were only over in Liverpool. I didn't see any from this side. So, not to my knowledge.
And like, if you could make the Wirral the most perfect place for your area in Prenton, like, what would you envision? Like, what would it have? What would the people be like? And what would you see, like, moving forward?
No smackouts would be nice. That would be in an ideal world. Yeah, just for it to be like, just for people to be more open. Really, I mean, the whole, I don't know, the whole diversity thing. Diversity would be nice, but I understand that you're just not going to find that everywhere. Like, and I'm not picky about that. You know, I don't mind living in a place where I'm the only minority. Like, you know, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the whole, just the whole racism and the ignorance, really. Like, a lot of it isn't even malicious racism, really. A lot of it is just ignorance when it comes down to it. Like, I've met ignorant people who are not racist, they're just ignorant. But then you have, obviously, the people who are malicious. And in an ideal world would just be, an ideal world, would just be like completely negated of that. No ignorance, no racism. Even ignorance, like ignorance is, it's acceptable because you can teach ignorance. Ignorance can be taught. Like, in my country, I was saying there's a difference between an ignorant person and a fool. An ignorant person doesn't know any better. A fool is somebody who knows and they still choose to be foolish. And yeah, it would just be ideal if people just weren't nasty to each other, like based off of superficial things like your skin color or your accent or where you come from. Like, just you should judge people based on their character, not based on superficial things, not based on petty things. And it would just be nice if people didn't just automatically judge you the moment they saw you. Like, they judged you based on how you were. That will be the ideal world to me, really. Yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing. I think I'll end that there.
Okay, fair enough.
I think one thing I really wanted to get you to do is just introduce yourself, who you are and what you do. And I want you to not just speak about what you do in terms of like the 9 to 5, but like talk about what you do creatively as well.
Oh God, wow, you got me there. I don't really do anything creatively at the moment.
Or what you have done or what you'd aspire to do.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the thing. I don't even know what I want to do. I mean, I don't know. I've done little things like, community service here and there. Like going and helping out, like just like here, like going and helping out, cleaning up derelict places, just to do something. And I like altruism. I like helping out people, and it's a nice feeling, helping out people and doing good things. But I don't know really. I've kind of been at a crossroads for the past year, and I don't know what I'm doing really. To be fair, I don't know what I'm doing for anything. I'm just winging it. Yeah, I'm just winging it.
I think, especially with the pandemics, I think it's really. I think not only because of the fact that we haven't been able to be outside, but I think it's made us. I think because we've had to force ourselves to look within, some of the services that were there for us to explore are no longer there. So it's made us have to reevaluate what the direction of our lives.
Yeah.
But I think one thing I wanted to know more of was, maybe this is me wanting to know more, but you were writing, you said you write, and I don't know whether you also use that as an outlet to express yourself and what you experience and what you
I used to when I was younger a lot. Obviously, when you go through your teens, teens are hectic for everybody. That was when I wrote the most, to be fair. I kind of stopped doing that. I kind of got lazy, I'm not gonna lie. I got complacent, I guess, just dealing with life. I haven't written anything, God knows how long now. Probably a good decade by now. I literally came over here to do school, to do creative writing, and everything that happened, I just never ended up going, and I don't think I'll ever do it, to be fair, because there's just not much outlets for creative writing, especially here, especially for minorities. Well, from my experience so far, I should say, so I've just been working just to survive, really.
Okay.
Yeah, and like you said, with the pandemic going on, and I did lose. I lost my mom and my nana last year as well, and I haven't been able to go home because of everything, and it's just been it's been a really hard year. It has for everybody, admittedly. It's been really hard. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Thank you for sharing. Your time is appreciated. Thank you so much for that. And I do hope that even with just you sharing your story, that when people do hear this, at least policymakers, they can put it, consider how unique your story is, but also be able to identify the things that do need to improve. So people like yourself and your life can just be a little bit easier. But thank you so much for that.
Marcus, that was truly inspiring, can I just say? Thanks for sharing it with me. It was amazing, and one of the things I'm working on at the moment, which some of your stuff, that I'm getting very tearful here about this, doing a project at the moment with international students who are coming to the city. So whether that's Liverpool, I think it's mainly at Liverpool University or John Moores. Now one of the things I've been asked to do is to show them how to use public transport safely, how to get themselves around, where they can go from a tourist point of view, and I'm going to do that in October sometime, and the offer's there for you to come along and do that with me if you're available, if you want to do it, because I think not so much your story, but I think the insight that you can put into and some the way you can communicate your story, I think is invaluable. So don't underestimate what you've just done. Honestly, that was where you said I'm going to jump around. You never. It was really comprehensive, and the content in there was. Honestly, I couldn't get away from the story. Sometimes I'm one for drifting off, and looking. Honestly, it was honestly. Can I just thank you? That was honestly.
No, thank you.
It's lovely to meet you. Honestly, no, it's got to me there.
Yeah, it is. In my eyes, guys. Make sure this is stopped so I can.